everyone. Hope you've had a great second day of March 2nd, 2024, Saturday. We only have about 30 minutes left in the day, but I did want to share with you a reason to celebrate because, as you know, there's a reason to celebrate every day. I haven't done this in a while, but we're going to do this from a Tech Corner standpoint, and we're looking at International Open Data Day. I shared this a little bit in a short. Basically, Open Data Day is an annual event, and we're celebrating this year on March the 2nd, where we celebrate open data, open information. And it's so important because, again, by sharing this information, it empowers us to make informed decisions, and we're kind of aware, and also provides kind of a check and balance for everyone. I did an original design for Open Data Day. You can see it there if you scan the QR code. Let's move forward. We're going to talk about some of the sources of open data that are available in the government and global data section. You can go to data.gov, and there you can find science information, research information, manufacturing, climate information. Data.gov is one of the most comprehensive data sources around the globe, and data sets are available in typical forms, so you could put it in CSV, JS, JSON, XML. Metadata data is frequently updated as well, and it gives the user complete transparency and clarity, so it's awesome to have around. Also, another great open data format or platform is U.S. Census Bureau, and I have to admit, just keep in mind that the information is only based on the information that's provided. Some of it may not be true. There may be lots of missing information, and people, places, persons, and things that are not accounted for. And it gives you demographical data on U.S. inhabitants, and it can be very useful. And the sources of the Census Bureau are federal, state, and local governments, as well as commercial entities. Also, we have the Open Data Network. This source allows users to look for data using a robust search engine. You can apply advanced filters to your searches and pull data on everything from public safety, financial infrastructure, housing and development, and so much more. When I get a chance, we'll go back and look at some of the ones that are of particular interest, and we'll look at them together so that we can take a look at them. Another government and global database, which is very useful, is UNICEF. UNICEF monitors and reports on the situations of children and women everywhere, and that is so important, especially in March, because if you don't know, March is a women's, the month for women. We celebrate women in March, and I'm definitely a woman, and without women, none of us would be here. So it shows the latest updates on disease outbreaks, gender and education, attitudes on social norms, and other data sets are also widely available through UNICEF. Some financial and economic data sets that are open are the World Bank Open Data. It's the most frequently updated and complete open data source for information on GDP rates, logistics, global energy consumption, disbursement of management of global funds, and much more. And there are even visualization tools for some data sets. And I have to tell you, doing this research, I found that a lot of data sets were 3 to 14 years old. Some of the ones that we use for businesses and things like that. Another financial and economic data set is the Financial Times. It looks kind of like an online newspaper, but it's actually one of the most robust data sources for global markets, the Americas, Europe, and Africa. You know that recently there's been a lot of changes in the U.S. dollar and how it's used, and countries are using it. So really good to see the trends happening there. Next, we have global financial data, and you can get a free subscription and access global financial data, also known as GFD's complete data set and research to analyze major global markets and economies. So if you travel a lot or you have family that's multicultural, it's always good to know. The sources are periodicals, books, and numerous other kind of archives. Hopefully my battery doesn't die. The light just dimmed down, so I've been here for a little bit. But no worries, after that we'll work out, and I did a design for my workout too, so I'll let you see that. I want to get to the end of this, and I don't know if we are, but anyhow, the next data set we have is the UN Comtrade database. It's curated by Comtrade Labs. This free access database hosts mountains of data sets on global trade and is accessible via API. There are also data visualizations and data extraction tools available. Next up, we have the International Monetary Fund, IMF, for insights on the global economic outlook, financial stability, fiscal monitoring, and more. So the IMF database should always have you covered with that in mind. Next up, we have the Bureau of Economic Analysis, and that is curated by the U.S. Department of Commerce. And this has a wide range of frequently updated data sets on GDP, which is gross domestic product, international trades of goods and services, and international transactions, and once again, so much more, so much wealth of information there for you. Next, under financial and economic data, we also have U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and every quarter dating back to 2009, the SEC has published open data sets of corporate financial statements and disclosure information. Next up, we have the National Bureau of Economic Research, also known as NEBR, and not to be confused with Nebraska. It is a great open data source for both qualitative and quantitative research. Some examples of this include data sets on nominal wages, age, property, tax exemptions, post-housing, bus credit conditions, and again, so much more. Next up, we have the Federal Reserve Economic Database. Nearly 530,000 U.S. and international data sets are generated by the Federal Reserve, and some examples include consumer price indices, GDP, industrial production indices, foreign exchange rates, and many others. We also have the Uniform Crime Reporting Program. Recently, there is a gunmemorial.org website which houses a lot of information on this, but Uniform Crime Reporting Program curated by the FBI. So the UCR program aggregates data points from more than 18,000 cities, universities, and colleges, counties, states, tribes, and federal law enforcement agencies. Next up, we have the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Now, while the UCR program has more crime-specific statistics, open data sources collects data on everything from arrest-related deaths. There's also a very good Wikipedia site where it lists all officer-involved deaths, but yeah, and CPDO, emergency room status of annual firearm inquiries. So the National Archive of Criminal Justice Data is another great data set. Again, this is open data. It is a comprehensive resource for discovering both public and restricted access data sets on recidivism, gang violence, terrorism, hate crime, and much more. And I have so much to say about that, I just don't have a lot of time. Speaking of, hate crimes, I went to a Black History event at a local library. I'm going to tell you, next year, I'm going to be quiet because they say the devil is listening, and I've had things happen so far, but I should have been part of that program. It was a lot of us that was in and it's basically people that are making Black history. But it's okay, God recognizes me. But there was a young lady from a university, and she did a poem, and in the poem she cited that lynching was not a criminal offense, was not a criminal offense until 2018. That's only about 6 years ago, right? And so ironically, just a few days ago, maybe last week, I was looking for, because it's the close of Black History Month, I was looking for a Black History Museum. Someone told me that there are a couple, there have signs where there's one, but the church says they don't do it. So it's just so many things. And so on my journey there, I ended up at near where they told me to go, middle school, and there's like a tennis courts and all this other kind of stuff there. I went there and I decided I was going to have lunch and then, pick up my search for this Black history, the ever elusive Black History Museum. As I was having lunch, there were, I walked up to the tables, there were a bunch of older Caucasian men. Okay, and when I say older, I'm old too, but they're probably like about 20 years older than me. And there was a young girl, cute little girl, getting tennis lessons from a gentleman that happened to have dark skin. I don't think he was of African American descent necessarily. I don't know, he might have just had a really dark tan, but he was dark, okay? And as I sat and put my stuff down and began to open my lunch and, enjoy the park, they started talking about how they were basically talking about lynching people. And I didn't say anything. I think, part of them they weren't so sure of how I was going to take it, but they were trying to test the waters. and they were trying to trigger, see if I would be triggered by the conversation, which of course I'm too intelligent for that. I'm not, you're not going to trigger me. I'm listening because I want to see how far it's going to go so I can educate myself on what's going on around me. So I'm quietly, just enjoying myself. But then when they found that I wasn't triggered, they just kind of went on about their business because the intent was to trigger. But these conversations still happen today. That's the first one that I've heard. I haven't been, and again, the part of the South that I live in now is the deeper South. So, I've never in my life experienced hearing an actual conversation about this kind of thing that they were having in a park where there's kids, so I let somebody know, I know there's nothing you could do about it because, there's nothing you could do. They didn't say any race. They just knew that lynching was, but anyhow, that's that. Let's move on. So next database we have in relation to crime and drug data is the National Institute on Drug Abuse. NIDA, NIDA is a great resource for data sets on tobacco, alcohol, illicit drug and prescriptions, opioid abuse in the U.S. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Drugs are not just drugs. It's anything that you're addicted to that you just won't stop till you can't get enough. It could be food. It could be, whatever. Whatever you're doing that's not an asset to your life that you're overdoing and you enjoy it. But I guess it could be good too because once you start working out and stuff like that, you get kind of addicted to that to the point where, it's time to go to sleep and you're not. But then you finally have to go to sleep, so you do. And then it's just like, whatever. But anything can be addictive and it can be a drug because if it makes you feel a certain way and releases these chemicals in your body and in your brain, and again, if you have a different opinion, please share it because I like to learn. I'm just sharing my thoughts. It's releasing that chemical into your body and you're enjoying it and you just want more. It's kind of like, and this is a bad example, but I'm going to use it because it's what it feels like to me. If you've ever stepped into like a fire ant pile and the ants bit you and you scratched and it felt so good to scratch it, but it was scratching to the point where it's putting a hole in your skin, those ants is crazy. So, but anyhow, moving on. So United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes have a data set for production and trafficking, global studies on homicide rates, organized crime, corruption, and more. They need to put the U.S. government in that. I shouldn't say that, but it's true because that's how they got introduced to our communities in the late 60s and 70s. But moving right along. Next we have the world, and now we're looking at health and scientific data sets. We have World Health Organization, better known as WHO, or WHO. It's one of the most complete open data repositories for global mortality rates, disease outbreaks, and mental illnesses. And again, all this stuff, I don't believe anything. I was having a conversation before I came back to the gym this evening with this young man. I don't believe anything anymore because it's all based on who's telling the story, and a lot of times, the truth doesn't always get told because you have people that are muted, M-U-T-E-D, and muted, M-O-O-T-E-D, in society whose voices are never heard. For those who don't know, I did have a nonprofit that I started in regards to that. A few months off, and I've also started writing news articles. I haven't had a chance to post in here, but I'm going to when I get a chance. But anyhow, moving right along. So WHO, been around forever. Health, financing, mental illnesses, all that. Next open data set that you may be interested in, Food and Drug Administration, commonly known as the FDA. This open data source, it has an educational library on everything from foodborne illnesses and contaminants to dietary supplement news and recalls in the U.S., which again, like Lauren Hill, I was having this conversation with this guy right before I came to the gym. Lauren Hill said everything is everything. There's a lot of foods here in the U.S. that other countries don't touch. I recently was talking to somebody and they were telling me, because we were in a class and they had yogurt or something. And I took a yogurt and I was happy to take it. They were like, oh, I can't eat that, such and such and such. But I think your body, each of us are individuals, your body will tell you if something's really, really not good. If you don't feel well, that's a sign that it ain't good for you. But anyhow, moving on, we have healthdata.gov. It contains over 3,000 data sets over a 125 plus year span. And this open data source is dedicated to making high value data accessible to entrepreneurs, researchers, and policymakers. And again, I have a comment on everything because it's over 125 years. You know who they used to experiment on that stuff. But anyhow, let's move on. Next, we have Center for Disease Control. You have access to a wide variety of open data sets on chronic illnesses, birth defects, a lot of stuff. Next, we have Open Science Data Cloud, and there's more than a petabyte of big data sets on hand. Let's you and I take a look at petabytes together so that we all can be educated on that, right? Petabytes. Uh-oh, my battery is about to go. The thing just popped up. So I don't know if I'm going to have enough time, but it's about 45 of these I looked up. I think petabyte is a multiple of a byte. It's like 1 quadrillion bytes. So that'll be 1 million gigabytes or 1,000 terabytes. So petabytes are a lot of bytes to be beaten by with information. But anyhow, so yeah. So the open science data enables scientific researchers to easily manage, share, and analyze open data. Sounds fun. Next, we have NASA Planetary Data System. If y'all didn't get a chance, Black History Month is gone, but we should be celebrating it every day, because we live in a world full of beautiful brown people, and some of us are beautiful brown people, so we should celebrate it every day. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, please go visit, watch the movie Hidden Figures. It's based in my hometown of Hampton, Virginia, and tells a wonderful story of some of the things that we contributed and went through to get there. Very lighthearted but serious at the same time. Anyhow, NASA Planetary Data System require, well, anybody can use it. If you're a researcher, educator, student, or general public, there's lots of open data sets there, and I definitely want to go play in that because I love that kind of stuff. But anyhow, moving right along. We have NASA Earth data. And so you get to monitor the atmosphere, the cryosphere, land, ocean, radiance, solar radiance, all of that. We're going to move on. Google Scholar, we're looking at academic data sets. I don't think I'm having enough time. Academic data sets. It says Google Scholar lets users search for data sets like they would any other Google search. You can find educational, peer-reviewed sources of data about any topic. So it sounds lots of fun. And when I think of that too, I think of a lot of the free coursework that's out there as well. And so if you looked at Coursera, Udemy, there's tons of them. I actually started taking a class again. Maybe last week. And the reason that I started doing that because I'm rebuilding my website, and I think I want to use another platform. But I think I could use a little more practice in that particular platform. So I started taking a class. I didn't finish. So I'm going to pray on that one because, like they said, what's the Bible verse? Philippians 1:6. He who has created a good work in you will complete it, and it will be. To me, and I was talking to this person right before I came to the gym again about how excited, I am just about life and about living in the world, and it's so much to learn, and I never lose the awe of, just all the wonderful things there are here in this world. But anyhow, next we have Pew Research Center. Pew is one of the largest open data sources in the U.S. It's aggregated through high-quality surveys, which I need to be doing more of for business purposes. But yeah. So lots of good information there. Just in the best interest of time, because my warning light is coming on, we're just going to read through just the titles. We have National Center for Education Studies. So it helps you study student retention rates, degree attainment, learning habits, things like that. Environmental data sets. We're looking at climate data online. Marine weather radars, things like that. Then we have National Center for Environmental Health, public health on a national level. Then we have IEA Atlas of Energy, and that monitors global energy and electricity consumption. Next we have Business Directory data, which is great. And I didn't know Glassdoor would make it, but it's great to review employers, people that you've actually worked for. And I've seen some very honest reviews, even on Indeed. I've seen things like that. One of the things that I wanted to do when I was really interested and thought the working world was all that, I wanted to start like a closed community where you get to openly discuss employment experiences. You know, a lot of times people are not able to because they're trying to keep their job and things like that. But Glassdoor is a platform where if you felt comfortable and safe doing it, which I don't because you put your full name on it, you can post your experiences and how you feel, you know. I didn't think Yelp would make it for business reviews, but yeah, it's there. Google reviews, you could probably think of a few other ones. Open Corporates is a data set, and I think that's pretty interesting. Like I said, when I get a chance, I'll go back and some of these that I'm less familiar with actually take the time to review. Let's move on. Next we have 538. I would like to try to visit that too. I haven't. It says it's just about everything. I'm not really into politics, but I would like to see, you know, what the stance of it is. Next we have the New York Times Developer Network. You can create an account and register, and you can tap into any of the New York Times abstracts. So I think that's pretty interesting too. Again, kind of jaded a little bit because nothing in this world is necessarily 100% foolproof or true. Next we have the Associated Press Developer, and again that's similar to New York Times. Since I started writing articles, I think I would be interested in looking into that. But yeah, we're almost there, you guys. Maybe about 10 more and we're good. Next up we have Graph API, and that's curated by Facebook. So yeah. Next we have Social Mention, and it shows real-time data, which is good because a lot of these data sets are antiquated. On social sentiment, which I think is important. You know how over the years things have changed. Keyword use, hashtags. Next we have Google Trends.